Hello everybody, welcome in to my YouTube channel. There has been a slight name change if you haven't noticed. Den Queen has switched over to Mother Magi, but it's still the same Kayla, still the same me. If you are new to this channel, my name is Kayla. I am a spiritual wellness and technology educator. I'm a diviner, I'm a mom, I'm a lot of, great things. I love everything mystical, everything esoteric, everything magical, and I really am purposely, intentionally just sharing as much knowledge as I can with you all, with the community around me. It's very important to me that, I bring this type of education to the world. So today we are going to do part 1 of the Nodal Compass workshop. And before I get into that, I do want to make some announcements first. So for all of my writings, especially long form writing, collective readings, most of my offerings moving forward that are like freely accessible, and there is a subscription tier too. It's going to be on Substack. So what I plan on doing is still, of course, hosting free workshops via YouTube here, so that video is accessible. But you will be able to find all of my other stuff on Substack. You can also book a one-on-one session with me using my booking link, and I'm going to make sure that I put that into the comments. Right now, via Substack, via my newsletter, you can find a whole lot of goodies. There is a Pisces season oracle story that has been posted that is timeless. If you're looking for a astrology reading for Pisces season, if you want to know what the energy is going to be about, what is it giving, what you can expect, you can find that complete story, oracle story, via my Substack page, and it is accessible to all free subscribers. I do have a very, intentional purpose as well for paid subscribers over there on Substack. So eventually I will be moving and hosting workshops there, which means if you're subscribed, you'll have lifetime access to whatever workshops that I do post. Again, any type of specific or seasonal readings, all of those will be for paid subscribers as well, and a lot of other goodies. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my Substack page and subscribe today. And I'm going to make sure that I also put that link in the bio. Now, this is part 1. What I wanted to do with the Nodal Compass workshop is split things up, but also give us an opportunity to kind of commune in a group space. So while part 1 will be here via video, part 2 is going to be, you have to register. So you're going to have to, register to receive the link to be able to come into the space, live group session type format for part 2, which is going to be all about the North Node and bringing the South Node and the North Node together, and closing out the entirety of the workshop. So to begin, your nodes. If you are brand new to astrology, you may be thinking, what are the nodes, right? And the nodal points are essentially these areas in space, these points in space that represent the ecliptical paths, which means the rotating paths, right, of the sun and the moon. Wherever the nodal points lie, these points represent areas in space where the sun and the moon's path intersect each other. So this is a very significant thing. The nodes are the only place where eclipses can happen. So that's something that's very significant year to year, depending on where your node is. Just know that the nodes are these like divine places of this significant cosmic event that we have, which is, the eclipses, whether it's a solar eclipse or whether it's a lunar eclipse. Now, that's the technicality of like the placement where they are. When you are looking at your nodes on your natal chart, they're always going to be, opposite of each other. Your north node is going to be over here. Your south node is going to be in the opposite house from it. So directly opposite. In our Vedic astrology, and I'm not going to get, too much into this, but in our Vedic astrology, because I don't want to jump the room, but in our Vedic astrology, the south node represents the tail and the north node represents the head. The nodes are seen as this celestial body. So when we're thinking about the meaning of our nodes, especially as you get to like learning what the south node is, what the north node is, it's important to remember that they may seem separate, but they're actually a part of the same entity. They're a part of the same body. One's the head, one's the tail, and the way that the story is told is that the body is split, and so it feels like this continuous journey of these two pieces of the same body, kind of circling each other on this mission to kind of bring themselves back together. It's like a mirror of duality that's in constant motion with our life's journey. So a separated but whole body, if that makes sense. So the south node. Now, the south node, first I would say, like when I first started to look into the nodes, most people that I've met like along the path looking into their nodes, you will begin to do it on a precipice of purpose, right? Because your nodes, knowing your nodes, if you are someone that's like, why am I here? What am I doing? What have these steps been leading me up to? What does this mean? Knowing what your nodes are is an excellent place to start with, like defining, what's the word I want to say? Deciphering your natal chart and deciphering the astrological cosmic messages that are meant for you. The nodes are a great place to start. The south node, which is our prime concentration for today. The south node represents where you've been, what you already know. The things in this life that you are, naturally good at, naturally comfortable with. Normally when you look into your south node attributes, they're going to be very familiar to you right now. And be like, yeah, I am good at that. Yeah, I know how to do that. So the south node is like the energy, what you walked into this game with. The bags and the jewels and the gems that you already have. Now, because of this, it also can be a place of complacency because, what happens is when we are so used to doing things a certain type of way, when we know that we are, great at doing this particular thing, sometimes we can get stuck in it and you can be, complacent in what you already know. The south node, while it gives us great strength and it gives us great representation, it also reminds us of like the point from which we can spring off from. Like this is sort of your cosmic foundation. This is what, God's giving you. This is what you have. This is your springboard. So you have this. Now, what can you do to spring off of that, or expand from that, or how can you use that foundation that you already have to level up in your life? If you want to look deeper into like your habits are things that we're used to doing. Of course, those are South Node things. Karmic inclination is a big theme for the South Node. And in our Vedic astrology, the South Node, or Ketu, is all about karma. It's all about what you have brought from the last life's journey into this life's journey, and what particularly what you brought in that you need to work through. And when I say work through, it's like what you need to like finalize, or I'm gonna say make better, but we'll stick with work through. So, and that has something to do with the, not complacency, but with it being like naturally, like you naturally got it. Nobody had to give it to you. Nobody had to teach it to you. You just came in here with it because you learned it from your life before. And what the South Node says to us is, just because you know this, just because you've learned it from your life, doesn't mean that it necessarily needs to stay with you in the way that it did in that past life. Some of the things and some of the things and the themes of the South Node are karmatically attached. And so it is a direct consequence or a direct effect from something that you did in your past life. So now you have it here in this life, and it's represented in that energetics of your South Node. Because, essentially karma is the result of an action. Like you do something and something happens, that's what I believe karma is. And so we can look at our energetics, our themes, our definitions of our South Node, and we can think of them as, I did something in my past life, and that enabled me or created this type of energy or this type of response or this habit. All of those things, that represents what the South Node is. Now, I want to talk about like good and bad, because oftentimes when people think about the South Node and, pointing towards your North Star, which is your North Node, they, you may try to like hide or degrade or, reject the energetics and everything that's in your South Node. And that's not the case. The South Node is not bad. The North Node is not necessarily good. The South Node, again, is a springboard. It's a spring point. It's a foundation. It's like what you're working with. It's just like building a house. The South Node represents like the ground that was already there before you even begin to build the house. So it's not inherently good or bad. It just is. So when we're thinking about, the themes of things that we can, let go of, things that we can loosen up on, maybe, get a little softer with, those are the kind of approaches we want to take to our South Node. Just not throwing the energies in the trash, not throwing the habits and the ways of beings and the natural talents and the beautiful embodiments away. It's much more of take what you need from it, but do not be overly dependent on it, because the South Node represents the then, and you are moving within the now. But what I do like about it is it just lets us know that everybody came into the game with something. You know, we all have a South Node. We all have this springboard or this foundation that we came into this life with. So nobody was just put here without nothing. You know, you had something. You had something. And something that's cool about the studying of the relation, you know, when you're looking to study the relation between your North and your South Node, it gives opposites attract. It is a feeling of duality. It's like, you know, flipping a coin. And you'll find, like, my South Node is in Virgo and my North Node is in Pisces. Virgo is very analytical, very planned, very cynical, a little bit of a perfectionist, maybe a lot bit of a perfectionist. And Pisces is the complete opposite. Pisces is the void. It is dreamland. It is magic. It is spirituality. You know, it is talking to the trees, talking to the ancestors, talking to your dreams. The complete opposite of what Virgo represents. What does that tell me? That in between my North and my South Node is the field of balance. You know, I'm not meant to necessarily lean either way 100%. But what I am meant to do is find that middle ground in between them both that works best for me. And remember I said that the North Node and the South Node, Rahu and Ketu, are, you know, they represent one divine body. So when we're thinking about, you know, finding that middle ground, it is almost representative of putting that body together. I was going to say metaphysically and actually, but it does represent and feel like, to me, putting that body together when we are living in that middle space and not trying to force ourselves to be, you know, 100% one way, 100% towards the North Node, or 100% towards the South Node. Some ways that you can, so we know essentially now what the South Node is. Like, you have a great understanding for what the South Node is. Now, how can you work with this energy is the next question. So everybody wants to know, you know, how can you work with the energy? And again, so when you're looking to work with your South Node energy, and it's like, how do I work with this? It's when you find out what it is, you will more than likely realize that you've been working with it every day. You've probably been working with it too much. So for me personally, it's more of how do I observe it than how do I observe how I'm working with it, and how do I adjust that to make sure that I'm providing that middle ground of balance in between my North and South Node. It is also a wonderful thing to, you know, embrace that foundation that you have come in with in a way that is, you know, open, that is not boxing into your natural abilities. And finding a way to write out and realize how you use that foundation, those natural abilities in your everyday life. Yes. Writing it out. What are my South Node attributes? What are my South Node themes? Where do I see them popping up in my life? And you'll do that for your North and your South Node. And when you do it for both, it is a great way to see, you know, where where if you are, imbalanced, and if you can bring in something else over here. But write it down. What are your themes? What are your South Node attributes? Where do you see them popping up and showing up into your life? Which ones or which South Node traits do you naturally depend on the most? Do you naturally gravitate towards the most? Where do you see your South Node showing up in your life? Those are great writing points and beginnings to just deepen your understanding of how that South Node energy is already surrounding you in your life, which I guarantee that it is. And once you are able to write it down, then you can go to, okay, what is a habit? Am I self-sabotaging by being, really complacent and really comfortable in one place of my South Node energy? Am I holding on too much to this energy? Have I used it as a booster from the foundation? Have I tried to take the knowledge of my South Node have I tried to take the knowledge of my South Node to embrace the unknown of my North Node? That's also a great writing prompt. Essentially, the South Node is going to tell you a lot about your everyday, a lot about your habits, a lot about your embedded beliefs. And there are, I want to say, embedded beliefs, maybe some outdated beliefs as well in the South Node, because again, it's coming from the past life. It's coming from what you learned from the past, what you're bringing into this life. So there may be outdated beliefs within your South Node. And if you find that you are just holding on to a South Node belief and energy so much, that may be a point of an opportunity to, balance that out more and shoot towards more of a middle ground within whatever your North Node energy is. Our South Node, and exploring it, can tell us how we grow, how we can expand. Knowing your South Node, even if you don't know, well, of course, when you know your South Node, you're going to know what your North Node is. But just starting there will give you a great foundation for self-expansion. Because when you know yourself, you can truly do something with yourself, right? And the moment that you get to diving into your South Node, you can really start to see your natural workings and kind of natural way of walking through this life. If you're somebody that's looking to break through, and who is that for? Because the South Node a lot of times represents complacency. So while you're discovering this, and if you feel like you are, in a place of complacency or stagnation, and the movement is not moving the way that you want it to move, evaluating and observing your South Node energies is a great way to check in with yourself and to see where you can expand from your foundation. The South Node is here. It's the foundation. It's comfortable, it's good, it's flat. You know what I mean? It's sturdy, but how can we expand that? How can we move forward? How can we shoot for the stars and go towards that North Star, that North Node? Ultimately, discovering, more of yourself and more about yourself is a beautiful journey. And as you embark on that journey, I would advise you to just, have fun. Take your time Take your time with it in discovering any type of nodal work. It is always a great idea to keep a journal, maybe have a nodal journal. When we come all together for part 2, and again, it's going to be workshop format. So that means we're all going to be live. We're all going to be in a room together. We're going to have some writing prompts for both the North Node and the South Node. We're going to have some stories about bringing those together and what it looks like to dance the dance of duality. How does it feel, and what can life feel like when you are embracing both the tail and the head of your story? When we are in a constant flow of trying to elevate from that foundation, but never forgetting where we come from. It's always key. Never forget where you come from, because the South Node is not to be slept on, not to be forgotten, not to be dusted in the wind. There are jewels and dimes. I was gonna say dimes, like drop a dime for it. There are jewels and diamonds, trinkets, gold. There's abundance that you came in the game with, that lives in the South Node. It is already there. It's already there for you to take it up. So it's not to be slept on. I hope that you enjoyed this workshop. Make sure that you click the link in the description box to sign up for part 2. Part 2, which will be the North Node, all about the North Node and a culmination of bringing the North Node and South Node together. We're going to discuss more about how they work together, how you can work with the energies of both your North and South Node. When is a good time to work with those energies. I'm also going to get into where the nodes are right now. Which they are, the North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo. So I'm actually having a nodal return this year, which is an interesting experience. So we are going to talk about that as well. What else do I want to say? It is a free workshop. You just have to be registered. So you click the link, you'll fill out a form, you'll register, and you will get sent the link. That workshop. So part 2 of the Nodal Compass workshop is going to be March the 6th. So plenty of time to get us ready for that. Please make sure that if you love this video, of course, like, subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe to my podcast, to my Substack. Everything's great over there, and I will see y'all next time.